The shatter of glass ripped through the humid New York night like a gunshot, jolting me from the haze of post-shower steam. I froze, heart slamming against my ribs, naked as the day I was born, towel forgotten on the bathroom floor. "Who's there?" I barked, voice cracking like cheap thunder, but the only answer was the creak of my fire escape groaning under unfamiliar weight. Footsteps, deliberate, predatory, echoed from the living room, and I snatched the nearest thing to a weapon. A brass lamp from my nightstand, its cord trailing like a lifeline I wasn't sure I'd keep. My apartment in Brooklyn's Bushwick, this shoebox of exposed brick and second-hand dreams, had always felt like a sanctuary, a place where a 28-year-old graphic designer like me could strip away the world's bullshit and just breathe. But tonight, that illusion cracked wide open. I edged toward the door, pulse thundering in my ears, the cool hardwood biting into my bare soles. The air smelled of rain-soaked asphalt drifting through the broken window, mixed with something sharper. Cologne? Sweat? My mind raced to the headlines I'd scrolled past on the subway that morning. String of break-ins in the neighborhood, thieves targeting artists' lofts for quick flips on the black market. I was Austin Hale, for fuck's sake, not some trust fund kid with Warhol prints on the walls. My biggest score was a vintage typewriter and a stack of dog-eared Queer Lit from the Strand. A shadow flickered in the hallway light, and there he was, crouched by my coffee table, rifling through drawers with gloved hands. Hood up, jeans ripped at the knees. He moved like he owned the shadows, lean, coiled, dangerous. Our eyes locked as he whipped around, a flashlight beam slicing across my bare chest like Judgment Day. Time stuttered. His face sharp jaw, stubble shadowing hollow cheeks. Eyes the color of storm clouds, held no malice, just raw, unguarded surprise. And in that split second, something twisted in my gut. Not fear exactly, but a spark, electric and forbidden. "Shit," he hissed, dropping the drawer handle with a clatter. His gaze raked over me, slow and unapologetic, from my damp curls to the V of my hips, lingering where it had no goddamn right to. I should have swung the lamp, screamed for the cops, anything. But I stood there, exposed, the city lights painting us both in neon confessionals. "Get out," I managed, voice low, the lamp trembling in my grip. He didn't bolt. Instead, he straightened, hands up like a white flag, backpack slung low on one shoulder. Close. He couldn't have been older than me, maybe 25, with tattoos snaking up his forearms. Faded ink telling stories I suddenly wanted to read. "Easy, man." I didn't. "Fuck. You're naked." A ghost of a smirk tugged at his lips, but his eyes betrayed him wide, flickering with something that mirrored the heat coiling low in my belly. The rain picked up outside, drumming a frantic rhythm on the fire escape, drowning out the distant wail of sirens that were probably for someone else's nightmare. I lowered the lamp an inch, adrenaline sharpening every sense. The faint scar above his left eyebrow, the way his chest rose and fell under a threadbare black tee, the subtle flex of his fingers like he was fighting the urge to reach out. "You break into my place, and that's your line? You're naked?" Sarcasm dripped from my words, but it was armor, thin as the steam still clinging to my skin. He chuckled, low and rough, like gravel under tires. "Not every night starts like this. Name's Dylan. And you're not screaming. That's new, Dylan." The name hit like a hook in a bar fight, simple, unpretentious, laced with that Midwestern drawl sneaking through his tough guy facade. He took a half step forward, not aggressive, But testing, the beam from his dropped flashlight casting long shadows that danced between us. My brain screamed run, call 911, but my body, it betrayed me, rooted, alive in a way it hadn't been since my last disastrous hookup 3 months back. The ex who'd ghosted me after I dared to whisper, "I love you," in the dark. Vulnerability was my kryptonite, and here I was, serving it up on a silver platter to a stranger who'd just shattered my window. "Get your shit and go, Dylan," I said, but it came out softer, almost an invitation. He glanced at the backpack, then back at me, conflict etching lines across his brow. The room felt smaller, charged, like the air before a blackout. He zipped the bag slowly, eyes never leaving mine. "Look, I didn't mean to, your lock was shit. Fire escape's a joke. But I ain't taking nothing now. Call it a truce." He nodded toward the broken pane, rain now pooling on the sill. "You got a shirt or something? For both our sakes." I laughed, a sharp, disbelieving bark that echoed off the walls. "A shirt? After you just cased my place like a pro? What's next? You fix the window and tuck me in." Dylan's smirk deepened, but his posture softened, shoulders dropping as he leaned against the wall, casual as if we were old flames catching up over beers at McSorley's. "Hey, could name the price." There it was again, that spark, igniting something reckless in me. I set the lamp down, the clink loud in the silence, and crossed my arms over my chest, acutely aware of every inch of exposed skin. "Fine. Truce." I grabbed a pair of boxers from the laundry basket, yanking them on with deliberate slowness, his gaze tracking the motion like a hawk. "But you're explaining this over coffee. Downstairs. Now." Before I change my mind and dial the boys in blue, he hesitated, then nodded, slinging the bag over his shoulder. As we descended the creaky stairs, me in sweatpants and a tee thrown on haphazardly, him shadowing me like a secret, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't an ending. It was the goddamn prologue to whatever chaos we just unlocked. The all-night diner on the corner glowed like a beacon, fluorescent haze cutting through the downpour. We slid into a vinyl booth, the kind that stuck to your thighs in summer, and ordered black coffee, mine with a splash of milk, his straight up, no frills. The waitress, a no-nonsense Latina with tattoos of her own, eyed Dylan like she knew his type but poured anyway. "So, Austin," he started, stirring sugar into his mug with a spoon that looked too small for his hands. "How'd he know my name?" A quick glance at the mail scattered on my table, bills addressed to A. Hale. Sharp. "What's a guy like you doing in a loft like that, alone on a Friday night?" I sipped, the bitterness grounding me. "Working. Freelance hell." "You?" He leaned back, arms crossed, mirroring my defensiveness. "Same. But my gigs pay in cash. No questions." The implication hung there, petty theft, maybe more, and instead of revulsion, curiosity bloomed. Dylan's story spilled in fragments. Grew up in Ohio, bounced to the city chasing dreams of art school that fizzled under student debt. Now, he redistributed what the world hoarded, Robin Hood with a switchblade edge. I shared too against my better judgment. The move from small-town Indiana, where being gay meant whispers and sideways glances, the grind of pitching designs to ungrateful clients, the ache of building a life from pixels and solitude. Hours blurred, rain easing to a drizzle, and by the time we stepped back into the street, dawn's gray fingers clawing the skyline, something had shifted. "Windows still busted," I said, stalling. I'll fix it. Tomorrow. Promise. Dylan's hand brushed mine. Accidental? Intentional? And fire licked up my arm. Against every instinct, I believed him. And as he vanished into the morning mist, I wondered if I just invited the wolf into my bed, or my heart. The next day dawned sticky and unforgiving, the kind of Brooklyn heat that turned the air into soup. I nursed a hangover from too much diner coffee and not enough sleep, replaying the night in loops. The crash of glass, Dylan's eyes devouring me whole, that brush of knuckles that lingered like a brand. By noon, I taped cardboard over the broken pane, a pathetic Band-Aid, and buried myself in revisions for a logo pitch, but focus was a joke. Every keystroke echoed his low chuckle. My phone buzzed at 2 p.m., unknown number. It's Dylan. Hardware store run. Be there in 10. No hello. No bullshit. Just him, assuming I'd let him back in. I paced the loft, second-guessing, but when the buzzer sounded, I hit the button without a word. He showed up in faded Levi's and a clean white tank that hugged his frame, tools clinking in a battered toolbox. No hood, no shadows, just Dylan, sunlight catching the gold flecks in his eyes, a sheepish grin splitting his face. Brought glass. And apologies. In beer form, he held up a six-pack of IPA, condensation beating like sweat. We worked side by side, him measuring the frame with practiced ease while I held the pain steady, our arms brushing in the humid press of the room. Sweat trickled down my back, and I caught him stealing glances. Quick, hungry, gone in a blink. You do this often? I asked, nodding at the window. Play handyman after hours? He hammered a nail, the thunk rhythmic. Only for guys who don't call the cops on me naked. Heat flushed my cheeks, but I laughed, the sound easing the knot in my chest. By late afternoon, the glass was in, sealed tight, and we cracked the beers on my fire escape, legs dangling over the void, city sprawl humming below. Conversation flowed like the brews, easy, intoxicating. Dylan opened up about the tattoos. A phoenix on his bicep for the foster homes he'd clawed out of, a compass on his wrist pointing home that he'd never found. Art was my out, he said, voice rough. Sketched my way through juvie, dreamed of galleries. But life's a thief, man. Steals your brushes before you paint. I nodded, sharing my own scars. The dad who called my coming out a phase. The mom who baked pies but couldn't bake forgiveness. Designs my canvas now. Pixels instead of paint. Safer that way. Our knees touched, and neither pulled away. The sun dipped low, painting the skyline in fire, and when Dylan turned to me, his hand cupping my jaw, thumb tracing my lip, it felt inevitable. The kiss was slow at first, tentative, like testing storm clouds. Then it broke open, fierce and starving, his mouth tasting of hops and desperation. I gripped his shirt, pulling him closer, the metal railing digging into my back as the world narrowed to his heat, his hands roaming my sides with a reverence that belied his rough edges. We tumbled inside, clothes shedding like old skin, bodies colliding on the rumpled sheets in a tangle of limbs and gasps. Dylan moved like he stole touches with precision, savoring every inch. His fingers mapped my ribs, my hips, drawing moans I couldn't stifle. God, Austin, he murmured against my throat, voice wrecked. You're. Fuck. No poetry, just truth, raw and American as a dive bar jukebox. We crashed together, wave after wave, until exhaustion claimed us, tangled in sweat-damp sheets, his head on my chest like it belonged there. Morning brought pancakes, my attempt at domesticity, burned edges and all, and lazy talks of futures that felt possible. Dylan sketched while I worked, his pencil scratching over napkins, abstract swirls that captured the chaos of us. Ever think about exhibiting? I asked, watching his brow furrow in concentration. He shrugged, but his eyes lit. Nah. World's not kind to strays like me, but I saw it, the spark reigniting. We spent the week like that. Stolen days blending into nights of fevered intimacy. Walks through McCarran Park where he'd lace fingers with mine defiantly. Dinners at Hole-in-the-Wall to Carius where he'd steal bites from my plate with a wink. It was too good, too fast. The kind of romance that bloomed in cracks, fed by vulnerability. But cracks widen. On Friday, my phone lit up with a client call, big gig, mood boards for a queer-owned apparel line. Success tasted sweet, until Dylan overheard from the kitchen. "Congrats, babe," he said, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Later, as we lay spent, he traced patterns on my stomach. "You ever worry about this?" He gestured vaguely. "Us, the imbalance. Thief and artist, shadows and light." I pulled him closer. "Every day. But you're worth the risk." Lies we both wanted to believe. The first fracture came subtle. Dylan vanishing for hours, vague texts about errands. I'd wake to empty sheets, the loft echoing with absence. One night, he stumbled in at 3 a.m., lips split, knuckles bruised. "Fight at the bar," he muttered, dodging my questions. But the backpack, that damn thing, sat heavier by the door, zipped tight with secrets. Pushed, gentle at first. "Talk to me, Dylan. We're in this," he cracked then, spilling. A crew he'd run with back in Ohio. Debts that followed like ghosts. "One last score," he promised. Eyes pleading. "Then clean. For us, trust is a fragile thing, built on whispers in the dark." I nodded, hating myself, and we made love like it could seal the promise, slow, ticking, his body arching under mine as if to etch forgiveness into skin. Weeks blurred into a rhythm, my deadlines clashing with his shadows, but the pull between us deepened. We hit the pride after-parties in the village, bodies slick with sweat and glitter, his laugh cutting through the bass as we danced, free and fierce. "This," he shouted over the music, hand on my waist, "this is home, but home has leaks." The night before my pitch presentation, he didn't come back. Texts went unread, calls to voicemail. Panic clawed my gut as I paced the loft, the fixed window mocking me with its false security. Dawn broke, and so did I, dialing a friend at the precinct, casual inquiry masked as worry. The callback hit like a sucker punch. Dylan's face on a watch list, alias for a string of high-end gallery heists. "Art theft ring, Austin. Slippery fucker. You seen him?" My world tilted. Betrayal burned hot, then cold, leaving ash. When he finally appeared, disheveled, eyes hollow, a duffel in hand, I didn't yell. Just stared. The lamp from that first night clutched like a talisman. "It's done," he whispered, dropping to his knees. "The score. Clean money. We can get out." The words were ice, final. He reached for me, but I stepped back, the distance a chasm. Tears tracked his cheeks, mirroring mine, but trust, once shattered, doesn't mend with pleas. He left without the duffel, just him and the ghosts. I sank to the floor, the loft swallowing me whole, wondering if love was just another theft, promising everything, delivering echoes. The weeks after Dylan ghosted were a blur of numb survival, the kind that New York excels at. Subways rattling through my bones, coffee scalding my throat, deadlines blurring into faceless screens. My pitch landed the client, queer tees with bold graphics of intertwined hands, rainbows woven into thorns, but victory tasted like cardboard. The loft, once alive with his sketches taped to walls, now echoed with accusations. I boxed his forgotten hoodie, the one smelling of his cologne, and shoved it under the bed, out of sight but never mind. Friends noticed. My roommate from art school days, Mia, fierce dyke with a buzz cut and zero filter, dragged me to karaoke at a LES dive. Sing it out, Austin, she slurred after my off-key rendition of Somebody to Love, her arms slung around my shoulders. That thief boy ain't worth the ink on your heart. I nodded, but nights alone, I'd trace the phantom paths his fingers left, wondering if betrayal was the price of wanting more. Then, the letter came. Not email, actual mail, scrawled in his blocky hand on lined paper from a midtown hostel. Austin, I'm sorry doesn't cut it, I know. But I need you to understand. Meet me, the High Line, sunset. No strings. Dylan. My thumb smudged the ink. Heart a traitor pounding yes. I went. The elevated park thrummed with tourists and lovers, wildflowers nodding in the breeze off the Hudson. He waited by the old rail tracks, hands jammed in pockets, looking smaller against the skyline sprawl. No backpack, just him, jeans clean, tee untucked, eyes bruised with regret. You came, he breathed, stepping forward, then halting when I flinched. Curiosity, not forgiveness. We walked, the click of my sneakers on planks the only sound at first. He talked, poured it out like cheap whiskey. The score had been a setup, his old crew double-crossing, leaving him holding the bag for a heist gone south. Cops on his tail. No cash, just scars. I ran to protect you. Didn't want that dirt on your doorstep. Liar. I snapped, but softer than I meant. You ran because it's what you do. Steal moments, then bolt. We stopped at a bench overlooking the Chelsea market hum, the city a glittering apology below. His hand hovered near mine, and God help me, I didn't pull away. We talked for hours raw, unfiltered, about the foster kid in him who learned love was temporary, the artist in me terrified of the same. I saw you that night, he confessed, voice cracking. Naked, fierce, not backing down. You stole something from me too. My walls. The sun dipped, painting him gold, and when he kissed me, gentle, questioning, I let him. Just once. A spark, not a blaze. That night, he crashed on my couch, a tentative truce. Mornings brought coffee runs, his sketches returning, now of us, stylized lines capturing stolen glances. We rebuilt slow, movie nights with his head in my lap, whispers turning to touches that lingered but didn't demand. Sex came back tentative, exploratory, like mapping new territory. His body under mine, vulnerable now, gasping my name like prayer. I love you, he murmured post-climax, eyes locked, no escape. I believed him, or wanted to. Work pulled me into a vortex, the apparel line exploding, photo shoots in lofts that mirrored my own, models with Dylan's jawline twisting the knife. He tagged along once, hovering on the edges, pride warring with insecurity. "You fit here," he said later, over takeout lo mein. "I don't." "Bullshit," I countered. "You're the fire. I'm just the sketch." But doubt seeded, watered by his late nights job hunting, code for odd gigs that smelled of old habits. The conflict brewed subtle. A missed dinner, his phone buzzing with blocked numbers he swore were nothing. Mia cornered me at brunch. "He's using you, US. Wake up," I defended, fierce, but her words lodged like thorns. Then the storm hit. A gallery opening in Soho, my designs on tees worn by influencers, champagne flutes clinking under chandeliers. Dylan showed, sharp in borrowed slacks, beaming as I networked. But midway, he vanished. I found him in an alley out back, arguing low with a shadow tall, hooded, gestures sharp. "Dylan," my voice cut the tension. The stranger bolted, but not before I glimpsed the tattoo, matching Phoenix on a forearm. "Client," he lied, but his eyes darted. That night, fury erupted. "Who was that? Your crew? You promised." "It's nothing. Old debt. Paid off," he paced, hands raking hair. "You think I want this? Dragging you down. You're already gone," I shouted, tears hot. "Every secret chips away. I can't love a ghost." He reached, but I shoved, not hard, but enough. Hurt flashed. "Bro, I love you enough to leave," he whispered, grabbing his jacket. Door slammed. Silence roared. Days stretched into agony. I threw myself into work, but sketches mocked me, half-finished portraits of his smirk. A week in, Mia dragged me to therapy, a queer center in the village with rainbows on the walls. "Feel it," the counselor urged. "Betrayal's a teacher, not a tombstone." She was right. I grieved ugly, snotty sobs into pillows, but emerged sharper, boundaries like steel. Still, love's a stubborn weed. When Dylan texted, "One chance." Truth, all of it. "Your call," I replied, "High line." Noon, he waited, duffel at his feet, not backpack, but packed with proof. Police report, clean slate sworn. "Therapy," he said, voice steady. "Group for guys like me, ex-cons rebuilding." And sketches. For a show. "Your push." I searched his face, saw the work, the fragility. "Prove it," I said, and pulled him into a kiss that tasted of salt and second starts. We walked home hand in hand, the city forgiving as we were learning to be. But peace is fleeting in stories like ours. Whispers of his past lingered, a shadow on our horizon. Summer surrendered to fall's crisp bite, leaves carpeting the streets in fiery protest, mirroring the blaze we'd reignited. Dylan and I dove into a rhythm that felt earned, mornings tangled in sheets, his sketches evolving from napkins to canvas. My designs funding a shared studio space in Red Hook, all exposed brick and harbor views. We fought, sure. Petty shit like whose turn for dishes, deeper cuts when his ghost surfaced in nightmares that left him shaking in my arms. But we talked it out, raw and relentless, therapy sessions tag-teamed like a duet. His art show loomed, a pop-up in Bushwick, stolen glances, ironic title, his wink said, but laced with truth. I curated the promo graphics, bold lines echoing his ink, and watched him bloom. "This is us," he'd say, pinning pieces to walls, fingers brushing mine with electric familiarity. Nights blurred into passion, Slow explorations by candlelight, his body yielding under my touch, gasps turning to vows whispered against sweat-slick skin. "You're my anchor," he'd murmur, eyes fierce. Gay love in the city. Messy, magnificent, ours. But conflict doesn't bow to bliss. The call came mid-October, my phone vibrating during a client lunch in Midtown. Unknown number, Dylan's crew, the voice gravelly, laced with threat. "Tell your boy's ex-boss the debt's due. Or we collect from you." Click. Heart in throat. I raced home, finding Dylan elbow-deep in paint, oblivious. "We need to talk." My voice cracked. He froze, brush dripping cerulean, eyes sharpening on my face. The story spilled, the call, the fear coiling like smoke. Fury flashed, then guilt, carving lines deep. I handled it. He lied, but I saw the tremor. Pressed. He broke. A final marker from the heist, owed to a fence who'd turned enforcer. Paid most. This is cleanup. For good. Us or them. The ultimatum hung. Ugly. He chose us, swore it, and vanished into the night, returning dawn-battered, envelope of cash clutched like a talisman. Done. Forever. We collapsed together. Love a bomb on bruises. But trust, frayed, threads pulling. The show night arrived electric. Gallery buzzing with hipsters and collectors. Dylan's pieces, raw abstracts of fractured hearts. Intertwined forms, drawing murmurs of genius. I hovered proud, champagne in hand, until Mia sidled up, brow arched. "He's glowing. But watch your back, U.S. Shadows love spotlights." She wasn't wrong. Midway, a figure slipped through the crowd. The hooded stranger from Soho, eyes locked on Dylan across the room. Panic surged. I wove through, grabbing Dylan's arm. Trouble. 2:00. His face drained. "Stay here." But I followed as he cornered the guy in the back alley, voices rising sharp. "I paid. We're square. Not till the boss says." The punch landed, Dylan's jaw snapping back, blood blooming dark. I lunged. No plan. Just fury, shoving the brute, yelling for security. Chaos erupted, shouts, sirens wailing distant, the gallery spilling out like confetti gone wrong. Cops swarmed, statements taken under fluorescent glare. Dylan, ice pack to his face, met my eyes across the squad car hood, regret, love, terror swirling. "I'm sorry," he mouthed. I nodded, throat tight, as they hauled the goon away, cuffs clicking like judgments. The aftermath was a hurricane. Dylan's name in reports, questions about his past digging up old dirt. Detectives visited the loft, coffee steaming untouched as they probed. Known associates. Mr. Hale, help us help him. I stonewalled, loyalty a shield, but inside, cracks widened. We retreated to the studio, barricading against the world. "This ends tonight," Dylan declared, dialing a number from memory. The boss, voice tinny through speaker. Negotiation turned plea, then threat, ending in a tense truce, one last drop-off. Immunity whispered like prayer. I begged him not to go. Let them have it. We run, Portland, anywhere, but his jaw set, that Ohio steel. No more running. Not from you. The drop was midnight, abandoned warehouse in Gowanus, shadows thick as ink. I waited in the car, blocks away, nails digging crescents into palms. Minutes stretched eternal. Then his text, clear, Coming home. Relief flooded. Short-lived. Headlights pierced the fog. Not his beat-up Civic, but sleek black SUV. Tires screeching halt. Doors flew. Figures spilling 3. Masked. Guns glinting. My scream lodged silent as they dragged him out, his shout cut short by a boot to the gut. I floored it, ramming the curb, horn blaring like alarm. Chaos. Shots cracking air. Not at me, but warning Dylan wrestling free, tackling one to the ground. I leaped out, no weapon but rage, swinging a tire iron from the trunk. Connection, sickening thud, sent the nearest sprawling. Sirens converged, a symphony of blue and red. The crew scattered, one cuffed, Dylan hauling me up, bloodied but breathing. "You crazy fuck," he gasped, crushing me close, our hearts thunder in unison. Hospital waited. Stitches for his brow, X-rays for my wrenched shoulder. In the sterile room, dawn filtering gray, he took my hand. "Betrayal's my middle name. But you're the redemption I never earned." Tears fell, mine and his. "We earn it together." Or not at all. Nurses bustled, but we clung, the city outside stirring to life. A reminder that love, like New York, endures the breaks. Recovery was slow burn. Dylan's face on wanted sketches fading as tips poured in, the ring crumbling under fed scrutiny. We holed up, ordering Thai, binging old rom-coms where happy endings felt plausible. Intimacy returned tender, kisses over bandages, bodies aligning careful, his vulnerability a gift. "I see you," I'd whisper, tracing his scars, and he'd shatter, rebuilding in my arms. But the high faded. Court dates loomed, testimony against the crew, immunity his carrot. "Snitch?" friends murmured, but I saw his courage, choosing light over shadows. Winter whispered in, first snow dusting the fire escape. We stood there, bundled, watching flakes dance. "What's next?" he asked, breath fogging glass. "Us," I said simple. Always, yet doubt lingered, a chill wind. One subpoena could unravel it all. Winter clamped down hard, the city transforming into a glittering fortress of slush and string lights, holiday cheer clashing with our quiet siege. Dylan's trial prep consumed us. Lawyers in pinstripes grilling him in our loft, notebooks filling with dates and alibis that peeled back layers I'd only glimpsed. He emerged drained, but resolute, collapsing into my lap with tales of the ring's rot. Kids coerced into boosts, lives pawned for fixes. "I was blind," he'd say, voice hollow. "Till you made me see." I held him through it, my own world shrinking to sketches and solace. The apparel line thrived, pop-up shops from LA to Chicago. My name whispered in queer mags, but success soured without him at openings, his absence a shadow self. We made rituals, snowshoe walks in Prospect Park, where he'd sketch bare trees like veins, or nights cooking chili from his Ohio grandma's recipe, laughter bubbling over spilled spices. Love deepened in the margins, fierce, unflinching. Sex became sacrament. Slow mornings with sunlight slanting gold across his back, my hands learning the map of his tensions, drawing sighs like confessions. "Marry me?" He'd joke post-glow, ringless finger tracing my knuckle. I'd laugh, but the seed planted, blooming in quiet what-ifs. The betrayal's echo faded, but the past clawed back. Valentine's loomed, and with it, a bombshell. Anonymous tip to the DA, Dylan's rolled deeper than he'd admitted, a lookout for the gallery heist that started our unravel. Cops knocked pre-dawn, badges cold as the air. New evidence. Hail. Your boy's looking at time. Heard it from the hall. Dylan's face ashen as they cuffed him. Routine, they said, but the slam of the door echoed like finality. I followed to the station, bailing what I could, but the fracture was seismic. In interrogation's aftermath, over vending machine coffee, he broke. I knew the marks. Picked M. Thought it was victimless. Rich assholes insurance scams. Rage boiled. Hot and righteous. Victimless? You lied. Again. Slap of betrayal. Fresh wound. I gave you everything, trust. Home. And you hoarded this. Tears carved tracks down his stubbled cheeks. Feared you'd leave. But I was gonna come clean post-trial. Clean slate. Lies layered on ruins. I walked out. Into the sleet-lashed streets. Chest caving with grief. Friends rallied. Mia with wine and rants. Therapy with tissues. But solitude was my vigil. Loft a tomb of half-sketches and empty mugs. He wrote from Rikers. Letters thick with remorse. Poetry in prose. You taught me love isn't stolen. It's built. Brick by brutal brick. If I lose you, I've lost the man I became. I read them by fire escape light. Rain mingling with tears. Heart warring. Burn it all. Or bridge the gap. Spring teased green shoots as trial dawned. Federal courthouse in Foley Square. Marble halls echoing footsteps of the damned. I testified character, not crime. Voice steady recounting our nights. His change. He's flawed, I said. Eyes on him across the bar. Shackles glinting. But redeemable. Like all of us. The jury watched. Faces masks. As evidence mounted. Dylan's logs. Wire transfers. His own recorded pleas for mercy. Closing arguments sliced deep. Prosecution painting him thief eternal. Defense a prodigal seeking grace. Verdict hung 2 days. Agony distilled. Then guilty. But mitigated 2 years. Probation heavy. Art program mandated. Not freedom, but a thread. Visitation room buzzed sterile. Plexiglass our divide. You came, he breathed. Hand to the barrier. Couldn't not. Words tumbled. Hurt. Hope. The human mess of us. 2 years. We wait. His nod fierce. Build something. Gallery for strays, your designs. My sketches. Queer haven. Vision sparked. Shared dream rising from ashes. Release day scorched summer hot. Him stepping into sunlight. Leaner. Eyes clear. I waited curbside. Engine humming. No fanfare. Just us. Driving to a Coney Island boardwalk. Waves crashing indifferent. Fries greasy. Laughs tentative. Then free his hand in mine. Salt air washing clean. We rebuilt deliberate. His parole officer's nods. My freelance flexibility funding the space. A Bushwick warehouse reborn as fractured frames. Walls alive with ex-cons art. Queer stories in every stroke. Openings drew crowds. Headlines in the voice. From shadows to spotlights. Love matured. Scarred but strong nights of quiet talks. Bodies sinking like old habit. His I love you no longer plea but promise. One autumn eve. Under harvest moon. He knelt by the East River. Ring simple silver. Compass etched. Pointing true. Marry me, Austin. For real. Tears blurred. Yes. Fierce and final. Wedding small warehouse altar. Mia officiating with sass. Vows raw. I steal your heart daily. and give mine back tenfold. Years folded, gallery thriving, adoptions whispered, a kid from his old world, eyes like his. Betrayals, scars we trace, not hide. In America's grit, Brooklyn's pulse, our haven, we found the unexpected. Not perfection, but persistence. Love, human and howling, defying the thieves that come calling. And in quiet moments, by the fixed window, I'd remember that naked night, the shatter, the spark, and thank the chaos that broke us open.